Hello, my name is Rebecca Reyes, and I'm doing my presentation. So my field experience was where I work at. I work at a different building closer to my house. So I went to a different building called York Springs. We work with 3 to 5 year olds, and then in that classroom they had 17 children and then 2 teachers. So the lesson and activity that they were learning about bread. It was a different unit. So they would go to carpet and the teacher would teach the lesson with the children. The students were engaged and they were all participating. They would raise their hand, use open-ended questions, and they would even shut out the answers if everyone was involved. Um, they have a classroom app, it's called Dojo, where they would post what they're learning about, and then parents, if they wanted to bring any materials in related to the bread unit, they were able to do that. And then students were making cookies. Everyone helped out to make at least put one ingredient in the bowl. And then I did notice one student with an IEP with this disability. He had a fidget in the back. I know sometimes he would get distracted, so they would get him different fidgets so he could play with, and he would be able to concentrate so he wouldn't distract the other children. The classroom environment, everything was labeled. The toys, the chairs where they were being seated. I know the shelves where the toys belonged, they were all labeled. And then their cubbies where their names were, everything was labeled. There was enough toys for everyone to play with. And then the height of the chairs, the tables, the shelves, everything was at eye level and everything was able to be in reach of them. There were also artwork all over this back wall here posted of like different pictures that they have done. They also have family pictures, like all about me posters. And then the lesson plan with IEP goals were also done in the classroom. So in the lesson plan, the teachers would put the students with IEPs, and then they would write what goal they were working with, and then they would write what they were going to do that day. I did see more classroom management in the observations that I did. So the lesson plan was displayed, birthdays were displayed, the student jobs were up here. There was also attendance. The students were marked themselves as present. And then the schedule back here was also visual. The student with the IEP in the last slide I talked about had trouble with doing transitions, so they put a schedule here for him, so he could see what was next, and then he would able to then put his little marker, like a little sticker on what was he doing at that time, and then what was going to happen next. So I did notice more classroom management. Also, there were some students with behaviors and then students with disability. And then the teacher would help stay focused by giving fidgets and other things to do so they wouldn't get impatient. I know sometimes the kid would play with the fidget, or he would sit in the chair, or he wanted to work with puzzles, so that also helped him. And then the teachers would divide. So one teacher would be on half of the classroom and the other teacher would be on the other half to make sure everyone was safe. Instructional practices, small group was done right after circle time when after the lesson was given. So during small time, the teacher would work with 3 to 5 children separately while the other children were playing. And so the teacher would put a visual of what 3 to 5 children she was working with, and then where the other students were playing while the teacher was doing small group. During playtime, I did notice an IT therapist was in the classroom. She was helping one of the children with assistance, and she would observe and see what he was doing. I know in the lesson that we learned about where IT therapists come in and what type of therapist the children may need. And I did see an IT teacher coming in that classroom. And then the students with IEPs were not excluded from the other children. They were all playing together. They were all sitting together during meal times, and they were not excluded. And that is my presentation.